The moment the asteroid struck was the end of the world. But it wasn't the end of the dinosaurs. Not yet. Their final days were far stranger and more horrifying than you can imagine. 66 million years ago, a rock larger than Mount Everest slammed into the coast of modern-day Mexico. The energy released was equal to billions of nuclear bombs. Anything within hundreds of miles was vaporized in an instant. For the unlucky dinosaurs at ground zero, it was an end they never saw coming. But for the rest of the planet, the horror was just beginning. In the first few minutes, seismic shockwaves ripped through the Earth's crust, triggering planet-wide earthquakes and landslides. Coastlines everywhere were battered by colossal tsunamis. At the same time, trillions of tons of molten rock were blasted into space, only to rain back down across the globe. As this superheated debris re-entered the atmosphere, it set the very air on fire. Global firestorms ignited forests on every continent. Many dinosaurs, thousands of miles from the impact, were burned alive where they stood. Yet, even after this apocalypse of fire and fury, the world wasn't dead. For a few hours, maybe even a few days, pockets of life held on. In some regions, the fires eventually burned out, leaving behind a scarred but survivable landscape. Rivers and lakes, though choked with ash, remained. And in these isolated refuges, surviving plants provided a final fleeting meal for herbivores. Predators, in turn, stalked this dwindling prey. For a brief, deceptive moment, the world still felt alive. But the real killer wasn't the fire. It was the darkness that followed. Soot from the global fires, along with dust and vaporized rock, rose into the upper atmosphere, forming a thick, impenetrable shroud. Sunlight, the engine of all life, was blocked. Across the globe, day turned into a perpetual twilight. This was the start of the impact winter. Global temperatures plummeted. Photosynthesis, the process that allows plants to create energy from sunlight, shut down completely. All at once, the planet's green heart stopped beating. This was the beginning of the end. The collapse came from the bottom up. With no sunlight, plants withered and died. The great herbivores, the triceratops, the hadrosaurs were the first to feel it. These giants needed to eat hundreds of pounds of vegetation every single day. Suddenly, there was nothing. They grew weak, their massive herds collapsing into silent fields of bone. For a short time, this was a feast for the carnivores. The tyrannosaurs and other predators gorged on the dead and dying. But scavenging can only sustain a population for so long. Once the carcasses were gone, they too began to starve. The entire food chain was breaking, link by link. But extinction isn't a single event, it's a slow, grinding process. Some dinosaurs survived for weeks, months, or maybe even years after the impact. Survival wasn't about size or strength. It was about adaptability. Smaller dinosaurs, needing less food, had a better chance. Those living near freshwater sources could find temporary relief in fish and aquatic life. Insects, too, remained a crucial food source for those small enough to hunt them. Sheltered environments like caves or deep forests might have offered a temporary buffer against the cold. But the cold was relentless. As the impact winter deepened, global temperatures fell dramatically. Tropical regions that had never known frost were now gripped by freezing temperatures. The familiar cycles of seasons vanished, replaced by a bleak, unending cold. Dinosaurs, largely adapted for warm climates, suffered immensely. And with their bodies stressed by hunger and cold, reproduction became impossible. Nests were destroyed, eggs failed to incubate in the freezing environment, and any juveniles that did hatch had little chance of survival. Species by species, the populations grew old and vanished, with no new generation to replace them. We often imagine a final, dramatic day for the dinosaurs. But the reality was likely much quieter. It was an extinction that happened species by species, region by region, a slow, silent fading away in a dark, frozen world. There was no final roar, just the quiet disappearance of the last of their kind. So why did life survive at all? Because not all dinosaurs died. One small group, with a unique set of advantages, made it through. We call them birds. Being small, they needed less food. Many could eat seeds, which could lie dormant for years, providing a vital food source when plants were gone. Their ability to fly allowed them to escape localized devastation and search for dwindling resources. They were the ultimate survivors, passing through the narrow bottleneck of extinction while their larger cousins disappeared forever. When the dust finally settled, years later, the sunlight returned to a world that was almost unrecognizable. The great forests were gone, replaced by plains of ferns. The ecosystems that had supported the dinosaurs for 150 million years were shattered beyond repair. For the last few non-avian dinosaurs that might have clung to life in isolated pockets, there was no coming back. Their world was gone. The age of dinosaurs was over. Into this empty, quiet world stepped the survivors. Mammals, which had lived in the shadows of the dinosaurs, began to expand into new roles. And birds, the last of the dinosaurs, diversified into the incredible array we see today. The end of one world was the beginning of another. The story of the dinosaurs' extinction is not just about a single, catastrophic impact. It's a haunting lesson in how fragile a planet's ecosystem can be and how survival is a process, not an event. Thanks for watching. If you found this journey into the past fascinating, consider subscribing for more deep dives into our planet's incredible history.